Good afternoon, students. I am Ruta Bendre, Peaceoak Junior College. Today we'll be discussing about the microprocessor. Now, what do you mean by the microprocessor? Because in 12th standard you have 8085 microprocessor and the programming of the microprocessor. So, what do you mean by the microprocessor? It is actually the central processing unit. What you say is CPU of the computer. Basically, it is a semiconductor multi-purpose programmable device. So you can write the programs and those programs it can execute. So what it does actually, the microprocessor, it reads the instructions which are in the binary form, that is 0 and 1, from the memory. Then it accepts the binary data as the input and processes the data according to those instructions. And then it provides the results as the output. Now, this is the main function of the microprocessor. Accept the data, read the instructions, and process that particular data according to the instruction, and then provide the result. Now, actually, the microprocessor has three parts inside it. The first part is nothing but ALU, that is arithmetic logical unit. Second part is your registers, and the third part is nothing but your control unit. Now, ALU means what? It is mainly used for the arithmetic and logical operations to be performed. Whenever you want to perform any arithmetic or logical operations on the data that is stored in the ALU, okay, or done in the ALU, and then the result will be stored in the registers or in the memory depending upon the instructions. The registers are nothing but the internal memory of the microprocessor, and the control unit is mainly used to control all the operations or all the processes. So before going to 8085, we will see what was the evolution of the microprocessor. Evolution of the microprocessor basically depends upon the number of bits which it can process. So the first generation is nothing but called as the 4-bit microprocessor. The example of it is nothing but 4004. So when you say 4-bit, that means it can process 4 bits of data at a time. So basically, if you see what are the features of that, they were used in the calculators as a calculator. Actually, no programming was possible. Just you can do the arithmetic calculations on these particular microprocessors or with the help of these particular microprocessors. The second generation microprocessor actually were 8-bit microprocessor. So it could process 8-bit data at a time. So the examples are Intel company 8085, Zilog company Z80, Motorola 6800, and so on. So different companies manufacture different microprocessors, but which could process 8-bit data. Actually, the concept of RAM, ROM, that is externally memory, how to access or input-output ports was introduced with these particular microprocessors, and the programming was possible in the machine language, or which was called as the assembly language. The third generation microprocessor, these were 16-bit microprocessors, and example as you see 8086, 8088, which were manufactured by the Intel and Motorola 6800, and Zilog company manufactured 8000. Okay. Basically, the memory was more, then execution was much faster with these particular microprocessors. The fourth generation microprocessors, 32-bit data they could process. Then example 386, 486, 80386, 80486, and Motorola 68020, and so on. They could access the memory up to 4 GB, and the higher level languages were introduced. The fifth generation microprocessors could process 64 bits of data at a time. So you can imagine what will be the speed of the execution of the instructions. Example is nothing but Pentium 4, 80586, and so on. It can be used with different operating systems like Unix, Linux, and so on. Graphics were introduced, multimedia techniques were introduced, and so on. There were many characteristics. So when a question of evolution of microprocessor comes in the theory paper, it is maximum 3 or 4 marks question. You have to mention the generation, you have to mention the number of bits, you have to mention the examples, at minimum 2 examples you have to do, and the characteristics. The more characteristics you will find in the Intel x86 family chapter. Okay, so when you do that particular chapter, you can add more characteristics in this particular part. Now we will go to the 8085 microprocessor. This is how your 8085 microprocessor looks. It is a 40 pin IC. Okay, this is your pin number 1 to 20, 21 to 40. Okay, so it is dual in line package 1 and 2. Two lines are there. Okay, what are the features of 8085? So we will briefly see what are the features of 8085 and how they are used. Okay, so right now we are seeing the features in brief. So it is a 8-bit microprocessor as we have already seen, and so it can process 8-bit data at a time. The second thing is the address bus or address. It can access a 16-bit address. Okay, so a 16-bit address is available. So it can access 2 raised to 16, that is 64 kilobyte of memory, 2 raised to 16. So 16-bit address is there, so 2 raised to 16 combinations are there. So 64 kilobyte of memory is possible with this particular 8085 microprocessor. Then 8-bit data and lower 8-bit of the address are multiplexed, that is they are sent on the same line. Okay, and then with the help of multiplexer, they are then divided into 2 parts. Then IO mapped IO scheme is used for either the selecting the external memory or input output device. This we will study in detail afterwards. Then as I told you, it is a 40 pin IC with the DIP package, correct? And it requires 5-volt power supply. And it has 74 instructions, and with these instructions you have to write the program. Again, you can get a 3 marks question to write the features of 8085. So basically, what are the important features you have to first mention, and then you have to mention the less important points. Okay. So basically, if it is a 3 marks question, you have to mention at least 6 points. Minimum 6. I mean 3 are minimum, but you can mention 3 more. The registers in 8085 we will see. We had already seen the register is nothing but the internal memory of microprocessor. So these are general purpose registers. General purpose registers means they are used mainly to do any general calculation purpose or storing, not special purpose. Okay, storing the data. All these are the purposes of these particular registers. A register, which is also called as the accumulator, B register, C register, D register, E, H and L. You have to remember the names of the registers as they are required to write the programs. All these registers are used to store the 8-bit data. Okay, whatever is the 8-bit number, we can store either in these one of these registers or all the registers. Out of these, BC together, DE together and HL together can form a pair to store the 16 bits number in them. So when they are storing the 16-bit number, the higher 8 bits will be in B, the lower 8 bits will be always in C. Higher 8 bit will be in D, lower 8 bits will always be in E. Higher 8 bits will be always in H and lower 8 bits will be always in L registers. You cannot form the pair BD, CB and so on. So it is mentioned as BC register pair, DE register pair or HL register. Then you have the special purpose registers. The purpose or the functions of these registers we will see it afterwards. Right now you just remember the names of the registers. Stack pointer, which is a 16-bit register. That is 16-bit number can be stored in this. Program counter, again 16-bit. Flag register, which is also called as the status register, as it gives the status of the answer. When you do any arithmetic or logical operation, it gives the status of the answer. Temporary register, which is not accessible to the user. It is used in the arithmetic logical unit. And the instruction register, which is again an 8-bit register. These two registers are not accessible to the user. Temporary register and instruction register. Now we will see what is a flag register, as it is called as the status register also. So it is an 8-bit register. So if you take any 8-bit number, the LSB of the number we can say it as D0. The MSB of the number you can say it as D7. The sign 0, auxiliary carry, parity and carry. These are the 5 flags which are used to give the status of the answer. Set means 1, reset means 0. When you say the flag is set, that means that bit will become 1. When you say the flag is reset, that bit will become 0. So S stands for sign flag, which is affected by the MSB of the answers. If the MSB of the answer is 1, sign flag becomes 1, otherwise it is reset, that is 0. Zero flag, if the answer is 0, zero flag is set, or otherwise it is reset. Auxiliary carry flag, if the carry from lower nibble to the higher nibble, last 4 bits to next 4 bits. If there is a carry, it is set, otherwise it is reset. Parity flag, if number of ones in the answer are even, then it is called as even parity, then parity flag is set, otherwise it is reset. And carry flag, the MSB position, if there is a carry, then it is called as the flag is set. Now this particular X, what I have said, is called as the don't care condition. It can be either 0 or 1. I will take an example to tell you what is the flag register, now how it is affected. Now suppose I am adding 5 and 5. It is an hexadecimal addition. So I will get the answer as 0A. Now if you see, the MSB of the answer is 0. The answer is not 0. There are even number of ones. There are 2 ones, right? So even number of ones. So even parity. There is no carry from at the MSB level. There is no carry from lower nibble to the higher nibble. So as we had seen above, sign flag will be 0, zero flag will be 0, auxiliary carry flag will be 0, parity flag will be 0, and carry flag will be 0. So parity flag will be 1, and carry flag will be 0. So if you say the flags will be affected like this. Okay, that is in that F register you will have the D7 bit 0, D6 bit 0, this bit 0, this bit 1, and this bit 0. Considering don't care condition 0, so what it will happen? 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0. So answer will be 0, 4, H. In which register? F. Okay. Now we will see the instructions of microprocessor in the 8085 microprocessor in the next session. Thank you.